Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH session. The hypnotist was Lorraine, a good friend of mine, and I had a great time getting this information from the 25th, so I can't wait to share it with you. But before I start reading from the transcript, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And also do like this video. If you give it a like, that really helps me. It only takes a second. And I would love to hear from you what you think about this content. So do leave me a comment below. I read them all and I do respond to them as well. So let's move forward. So these are these questions I prepared in advance for Lorraine. Sometimes she does also ask her own questions, but in this case, this was one of my questions. So let's start here. Lorraine, is it true that some have an amazing current 3D life because they've had tough past lives, and past was in quotes because the 25th has told us there is no time, so there are no past lives, or alternate lives, and now deserve a break or are coasting because of good work done in previous lives? Me, laughing. So they were laughing at this question. So yes and no. Are they coasting because as a reward for having had a tough life? No. Are they coasting because they're making higher frequency choices because they've learned something that maybe they didn't like so much, and they don't always have to choose the same low vibrational choices? Yes, yes. So are the two things connected? They can be. The essence might decide, hey, you know, that was not so much fun. Let me do this instead. Absolutely. But is it a reward? Meaning that you automatically go from a tough life, perhaps that you live because you were or you wanted to play in the dark? No. You could do the same thing in the next life. You could do this for your entire existence. It's totally acceptable and available to you. But it happens that the essence might decide, well, you know what? Let me, especially the people that dip in and out, they might decide, oh, I had a dark life. That was tough. And you know, let's just chill out for a little bit. In this life, I just want to be chill and I don't want to have to do dark stuff. I just want to be happy. So yes, that can happen. Absolutely. Again, it's up to the essence. Lorraine, what is the purpose and meaning of crop circles? Who puts them there? And why do they show up in some countries and not others, and have mostly shown up in England so far? Me. So the crop circles, at its most basic, they are messages from the aliens. Aliens don't really walk on our planet, but they're everywhere. Their ships are everywhere. So yeah, and while they don't really know us, they observe us. Some of them, it's just personality, right? Just like us. Some of them do want to communicate. And that's one way that they find fun to communicate with us. They communicate with us in other ways as well. But that's one way that they find fun. We find it fun too, don't we? Don't we? Are we not so enthralled by the mystery of crop circles? We think they're super fun. And this is why this answers the question of why they happen in certain countries and not others. It's almost like you're calling somebody on the phone or leaving a message, throwing a message in a bottle. If the people in England or we, or the people interested in this kind of phenomenon have come to expect that they will happen in England, it will happen in England. The aliens are also able to see where we respond or where we're paying attention. So it's a game. It's all a game. It's fun. So yes, they are messages, but it's a two-way. Even us in receiving them, we're basically keeping this going. Remember, every time you put your focus on something, that reality gets manifested. So we keep this going. Let me give you an example. Say that the aliens had put a circle down and nobody cared about it. They probably wouldn't do that anymore. It's just a communication. Somebody's calling you on the phone and you don't pick up. After 10 times, they're not going to call you anymore, are they? I love how they make everything sound, you know, relate to our 3D reality and make it sound like so logical. I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of this before? It makes sense. Lorraine, yes, that's true. What is the energy that instruments are picking up? The radiation of the energy that's off the scale around these crop circles? Me. Is the energy of the is the frequency of the aliens. And that's why it's always, if we had better systems, better technology to see them, we would also be able to identify there are always different aliens leaving these. So we don't. We can only identify whether it's higher or lower than normal, what we consider normal for our planet. But yeah, it's basically the fact that people with different frequencies have been there, and the aliens do have different vibrations from us. Lorraine, thank you. Okay, what about the pillars or obelisks that started appearing in the desert in different parts of the world a few years ago? Who put them there and why? Me. So actually, they were initially put there by aliens. Yes, again, it was a game or another way of communicating. However, because we were paying attention to it, and a lot of people started thinking, something is happening, something is up. Because remember, we've known about this coming down for a while now. And a lot of people in the dark doesn't necessarily want this to be known. They want to keep the scare tactics going. So they actually put something there. They started putting some that were not real because they were trying to confuse people. Don't have them believe in, or have them believe that these do not come from aliens. They like to get involved with things. The dark always tries to manipulate reality, quote unquote reality, as much as they can. But because the interest fizzled, we haven't heard about these anymore. So yeah, they were put down by aliens, and then the dark put out a few as well, just to mess with us. And they were laughing here because they like to do that. Yeah, they were, they for sure do. All right, Lorraine, thank you. Okay, new question, new direction. Is climate change real? And if so, why is it happening? And is it natural? Me. Climate change. So the weather and the climate changes all the time. However, there's been a lot of manipulation as well. And it's not just the manipulation we talk about in terms of weather engineering, which is done on a smaller scale in terms of, for example, rain becoming a storm or a tornado or whatever. It's also a matter of when we have done resets. We have changed things. So for example, there is a question coming up about the ice age that was also reset. So we do change the climate. Mother Earth changes all the time. She's one of us, right? So the same way that we change, we want to explore different things. Mother Earth also does the same thing. So yeah, climate change is natural, but sometimes, one team or the other will add to the expression of that climate change, but not to the degree that we've been told. We're being told that human activity is causing climate change. That's not true. Climate change is very natural. Lorraine, thank you. Okay, do volcanoes work the way that we think? Why do they erupt? Can an eruption be engineered? Has it been done? And by who? Me. Yes, okay, so volcanoes are simply, again, an expression of Gaia. And so they do work the way we're told scientifically that they work. However, yes, they are engineered. They have been engineered too. Volcanoes have been engineered to erupt when it wasn't natural. So same story as before. Normally the people doing this kind of thing are on the side of the dark. They've been trying to destroy things or to distract. Most often that's done to distract from other things that they're preparing behind the scenes. And also, of course, the benefit to them is always that it causes fear and uncertainty. That's always like a bonus in their plans. Lorraine, thank you. So you said that the Ice Age was a reset. Who caused it and why? Me. So the Ice Age was a reset caused by the dark to basically eliminate people. And it worked. They thought that less people would be interested in a frozen world. But that's why they reset again. And there is a question coming up about this. Claire wanted to know, how come we've had 5 resets? The first one was done by the light. Then the dark took over the idea of resets, and they had 4 in a row. How come they would have 4 in a row when they had already reset and the polarity was negative? So it was done by the dark. Why would the dark need to reset again? And that's why. They would cause a reset to create certain conditions, but then even they didn't want to live in that. So they would reset again because, of course, they're here to also have fun. And I mean, nobody really wants to live in a frozen world. I mean, how fun is that? So yeah, That's why there have been 4 resets by the dark in a row. The Ice Age was one of them, but basically it was too extreme. Nobody really enjoyed it. Nobody was having fun. It didn't last very long either. Lorraine. Okay, I was just going to ask, how long did it last? Me. I hear 20 years. It didn't last very long at all, a couple of decades. Basically, it didn't last. Yeah, it didn't last nearly as long as we're told. Lorraine. So Claire has questions about saber-toothed tigers and if humans were ape-like. Me. Yeah, no, that's not. So we did not. Were there animals similar to this? Yes, but a lot of these stories are just stories. They are not like dinosaurs, are just a story. They were big animals, but they weren't quite what we're told. You know, like dinosaurs. Same with the saber-toothed tiger. It's just lore. It's just, we like to think of that. In fact, many people do think of that, don't they? It's like a famous animal in the imagination of the collective. No, it didn't. They weren't the way that we're told they were. These animals were not there as we're told that they were. And even us who were here during the Ice Age, we did not become brutes, but we did not like it. And the dark didn't like it either. And this is why they reset right away. So a lot of these things that we consider our primordial history never happened. And if it happened, if some of it happened, it did not happen the way we're told. And again, we know we haven't been here that long. So we know a lot of the written history is not correct. Now, some of the things we do believe we lived through. So it's not just the dark changing the history books, but remember, all of us, we want to ignore a lot of the clues that are left in the environment. So we've all been okay with this version of us having this evolution and, you know, discovering fire and all of that, but it's not really, that didn't really happen. It's just a story. Lorraine, it's just a story. 500 years is long enough for us to create different scenarios, but certainly not long enough for the quote unquote evolutionary story. Me. Yeah, there is no evolution. It really, we change shape and environment as quickly as our thought, as quickly as we decide to do it. I mean, even now, look at this entire setup we set up for ourselves, this entire takedown. How long is it taking us? Not very long. And this is huge in terms of what we have done in the multiverse. And yet it's not taking that long. Even in Earth years, it's not taking that long at all. And we're moving with our bodies. It's a big deal. So yeah, time is not what we think it is. Time is not what we've been taught it is on this planet. Lorraine, thank you. What was the purpose of the dark resetting 4 times in a row if they've been doing a reset after light did the first one? So the balance was already leaning towards the negative polarity and the light never reset again. Basically, why would they reset the reality they had set themselves? Me. Yeah, so we answered this a little bit, but basically it's just because the light never reset again, because what was the point? The dark would have just reset again. So at that point, we're just resetting every 2 days. It just doesn't, I mean, at that point, that's when the light decided we're just going to take this down, because clearly there's nothing we can do to rebalance here. But the dark just reset again and again until they stopped on a reality, which is the current reality, that they thought was the way that they wanted it. Otherwise, they would have reset again. And they have tried. But now again, we're taking this down because this has become too dire. So this reality that we set up was actually fun in the beginning. It just didn't last very long. Lorraine, thank you. It does appear that the dark just keeps resetting until they get exactly what they wanted. And then they didn't. They got something they didn't want. Me. Correct. Because unfortunately, and this has been the problem from the beginning, they have no way of forecasting what will come out of something, because it's never just them deciding. They're just setting up ideas and scenarios, and it's up to each one of us to accept it or not. And a lot of us, for example, do not agree with the resets they do, and we don't participate. And all of a sudden, their plans go wrong, and they have to make plans about plans about plans. They lose track of the plot, and we've discussed this. So nothing goes according to plan for the simple reason that none of us, even on the side of the light, we have no way of knowing what the collective, we say collective, but we mean individuals in the collective, what they will decide to accept, what we propose or not. And therefore, you can never really forecast how something is going to come out. Lorraine, it is quite humorous when you look at it from an expanded perspective. Me, yeah, and they were laughing. We will laugh about it. Like eventually we'll laugh about it. Right now. Yeah. Right now, I think I'm ready to move forward, and then I can laugh about this in hindsight, maybe. All right, well, thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.